Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today I'm going to tell you how you can read Jane Austen books even if you are a beginner. Now, Jane Austen is one of the most famous classic authors and I'm sure you've heard of her works like Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Emma, etc. But I do know that Jane Austen's writing style is not the easiest to read. Like, she has a slightly convoluted writing style that makes it quite difficult to grasp exactly what she's saying. And one of the reasons why her writing style is so difficult is, I feel, because she has a tendency to write extremely long sentences. Like, her sentences never seem to end, and that's what makes it very difficult to kind of follow what she's trying to say, and you end up kind of feeling lost in the page because you have no idea what the main point is that she's trying to make. Like, I know her writing style is quite difficult to grasp, especially if you're just like beginning your reading journey. Also, I think it's because her English is like very old British English and it's very like proper British English. So again, like, the vocabulary she uses, the sentence structures that she uses is very like olden times, because of course she wrote these books in the 1800s. So again, because of that, her books are a little bit difficult to read. But there is one very simple way that you can read, understand, and enjoy Jane Austen's books, and that's what I'm going to tell you about in this video, so stay tuned. So first things first, let's just chat a little bit about what Jane Austen's books are about and why they are like so good. So Jane Austen basically wrote 6 books in her lifetime, 5 which were published while she was still alive and 1 that was published posthumously, so after she died. The 6 books that she wrote were Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Emma, Northanger Abbey, Mansfield Park, and Persuasion. Each of these books basically touches upon the lives of men and women living in the 1800s in England. And what these books are about are basically the everyday lives of these men and women and how like the societal structure of the 1800s impacted their lives. So through their everyday lives, Jane Austen has touched upon like I said, the societal structure in the 1800s, how marriages took place, the kind of like struggles that families belonging to a lower economic hierarchy, like the struggles they faced versus those who were born like with privileges, meaning money, like how the economic hierarchy kind of affected everyone's lives, and also what it meant to be a woman in the 1800s, because society was very unfair to women during that time. And the best thing about Austen's writing is that she brings out this societal structure of the 1800s through extremely endearing, strong, and real female characters. Like, for example, in Sense and Sensibility, we have the Dashwood sisters. We have Eleanor Dashwood, who is kind of like reserved and very cautious about everything that she does in her life, including her love life. And we have Marianne Dashwood, who is extremely colorful, vibrant, lively, and she basically just follows her heart and she does whatever she thinks is right without really thinking about the consequences of what she's doing. Like, she just follows her heart. And the contrast between these two sisters is brought about in such an amazing way in Sense and Sensibility, and that forms the crux of how we kind of see society through the eyes of these two contrasting sisters. Then we have Emma and Northanger Abbey, where both the main characters are kind of like a little bit silly. So in Emma, we have Emma Woodhouse, who is like this privileged young woman who is very learned, but she's a little bit meddlesome. Like, she loves gossip and she loves meddling in people's love lives, like especially like she loves matchmaking people. And because of that, because of her tendency to meddle in people's lives, she brings upon a lot of like problems for herself. So through the lens of this slightly silly, flawed character, again we get to see a different side of 1800s society. In Northanger Abbey, we have our main character Catherine, who is a total tomboy and she has a very vivid and wild imagination, and she loves gothic novels. So in the situation that she finds herself in this book, she basically feels like she's living a gothic novel, or she imagines that she's living in a gothic novel, and she basically just conjures like this imaginary murder that has taken place, and she tries to solve the murder, which is completely imaginary and doesn't exist. Then of course we have Pride and Prejudice, which is honestly Austen's best book. Like, it is the best book that she's written. It is so good. And in this, I think we get to see like the economic hierarchy, because in this book we follow the Bennet family. So in the Bennet family, you have Mr. and Mrs. Bennet and their 5 daughters, and the entire Bennet family is not very well to do. Like, they're okay, they're probably like middle class, but they're not very rich that they can support all 5 daughters. So it's very essential for Mrs. Bennet to get all her daughters married off, because that's the only way that she feels she can secure like good futures for her daughters, because of course women couldn't really work and earn money for themselves, and also like the family house that their father owns and all the land that he owns doesn't really get passed down to them. Like, that wasn't how 1800 society worked. Like, their father's assets didn't get passed down to the daughters, but their next living male relatives. That's why it's so imperative that their mother, Mrs. Bennet, gets all of them married off to good families, because that's the only way that she feels that she can provide for them and give them better futures. So I feel like this also brings about, like, you know, what it means to be a woman in the 1800s, what marriage meant during that time. Like, it's probably like your escape to maybe a better life, a better future, and why marriage was so important. So again, we get to see a different aspect of 1800 society. And now coming to how you can enjoy Jane Austen's books as a beginner. Honestly, my solution is very simple, and that is listen to them on audiobook. It's that simple. So I have curated the perfect list for listening to Jane Austen's books on audiobook. Like, I've curated the best list, and all the links are down in the description box below, so you can check them out. All the audiobooks in this list are extremely engaging, and the narrator is just amazing. Like, for all the books that I've listed down below, the narrator is what makes this book come to life, because they are just so good. Also, another reason why I feel audiobooks are the best way to read like slightly more complex and complicated books is that when you're listening to someone read it out to you, it kind of feels like you're listening to a story. And because of that, like, it makes it easier for your brain, I feel, to kind of comprehend what is going on. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel that when you listen to a story, when you listen to someone reading a story out to you, it becomes easier to digest, and it becomes easier for you to kind of just sit back and imagine what's going on, and it becomes a lot easier to take in. Now, let's talk a little bit about the audiobooks. For Sense and Sensibility, the link that I've placed in the description below, the narrator is Kate Winslet. Now, Kate Winslet is an Oscar-winning actress, and she has done an amazing job in modulating her voice to basically like suit all the characters in Sense and Sensibility. And she's done an amazing job at capturing the spirit of all these characters and bringing them to life through her narration. Then let's come to Emma and Northanger Abbey. These 2 books are full cast audiobooks, which means that every single character in the book has a different voice actor. This production of Emma and Northanger Abbey also has like sound effects and music, so it really feels like you are listening to a movie. Also, the narrator is Emma Thompson. Now, we have like, you know, the dialogues which are said by the voice actors, but we also have like Jane Austen's writing in the form of a narration, and that is read out by Emma Thompson, who again is a brilliant British actress, and she also just brings so much character and so much personality to these 2 books. And it really is a treat to listen to these productions of Emma and Northanger Abbey. Like, it's just amazing. The last 3 books, which were Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion, and Mansfield Park, these 3 are like read by a normal narrator. Like, it's not like a celebrity narrator, but these 3 audiobooks are the abridged version. Now, the abridged version means that in these 3 audiobooks, what you get is basically the core of the story, like the essence of the story, and the embellishments and the other like descriptive stuff in the book that beginners might find quite difficult to understand. all those descriptive things and embellishments are edited out. So what you're left with essentially is just the main part of the story that you need to know and understand to enjoy these books. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is the order in which you should read the Jane Austen books, because some of the books are a little bit more fast-paced and a bit more like there's more action going on as compared to the other books. So this is the order that I recommend you read them, so that you don't end up reading a very slow-paced kind of boring book as compared to the others, because then you might feel disheartened and not want to read other Jane Austen books. So follow this order because I feel that it is the perfect journey to go on. The first book that you should read, of course, is Pride and Prejudice. It is honestly her most well-written book, and it is like the most fast-paced book, and it has the best characters in my opinion. The second book that you should read is Emma. Emma, again, is a very funny book. Like, it is fast-paced. It is quite a fast-paced book, but it's also extremely funny. And that's why I feel that you guys will really enjoy reading it, especially after Pride and Prejudice, which covers a slightly more serious topic. Emma is a bit more light-hearted and fun and easy to read in that sense. The third book that you should read is Northanger Abbey. Again, because Northanger Abbey is quite a fast-paced book and it's quite easy to get through. So these three are kind of like the more action-packed, fast-paced books within the Jane Austen world. So you should definitely start with these three and get used to her writing style, get used to her, you know, her characters and the worlds that she builds for them. And then move on to the other three books which I will mention, which are slightly more slower and slightly more nuanced in that sense. The fourth book that you can pick up is Mansfield Park. Now this one, like I said, is a little bit slower than the other three books, but this book has a lot of like love triangles and love quadrangles, so it is very, very entertaining, and I'm sure you guys will like it. The fifth book that you can pick up is Persuasion. This book, again, like I said, is a little bit slower, but again, there is like a really good romance in this book, and it's all about rekindling like an old romance, and again, that makes it very, very interesting. And the last book that you should pick up is Sense and Sensibility, because honestly, this is the slowest of all of Jane Austen's books, and it's the first book that she ever wrote, if I'm not mistaken. And because of that, I also find it kind of like the weakest book that she's written. Like, I think she just got better and better and better as she wrote more books. So that's why this one being like the slowest and also kind of like the weakest book, I feel it should be the last one that you read, because after you've read the first five and again you have a much better grasp of her writing style, her characters, everything, then going to Sense and Sensibility, like you probably won't feel as disappointed or as lost when you read Sense and Sensibility at the end of it. But yeah, that was my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below letting me know if you've read Jane Austen's books and what you think about them. Which one is your favorite one? Let me know down in the comments below. And of course, do subscribe to my channel for more book related videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.